Semen retention secrets from the Buddha. In this video, I'm going to be sharing with you the story of Siddhartha Gautama, who eventually became the Buddha. I'm going to be sharing with you the 4 sights which Siddhartha Gautama saw that actually put him on the spiritual path, right? Then I'm going to be sharing with you the 4 noble truths of Buddhism. And then towards the end of this video, I'm going to be sharing with you the 8-fold path of Buddhism and how it ties in with the practice of semen retention. So make sure that you stick to the very end of this video to find out about the 8-fold path. Okay, now first and foremost, Siddhartha Gautama, most people don't even know that he was a prince, right? So before he was born, his father was a king who talked to a bunch of different Brahmins, right? The holy men, the seers of the time, and all of them told him that your son is either going to be a great king or he's going to be someone who renounces his crown and is going to become an ascetic, a monk, right? So his father wanted him to become a great king. So what he did was, at the time of the Buddha's birth, actually he was Siddhartha Gautama at the time. At the time of his birth, he basically got rid of all of the suffering within his kingdom, right? Got rid of all the sick people, got rid of all the old people, got rid of all the poor people, and all that Siddhartha Gautama was surrounded by at the time was pure luxury, was pure pleasure. He was surrounded by all the women that he would want. He was surrounded by all the material pleasures that he could ever want in his life, right? And he was basically deprived of all human suffering from even seeing it or even experiencing it. And as the legend goes of his story, he saw the 4 sights which actually got him on the path, right? So the first sight was that of an old person, right? So he never even saw an old person before. So he asked his charioteer, he's like, yo, what's up with this person, man? Why does he look so weird? He's like, yo, that's age. It's gonna happen to every person. It's gonna has happened to every person, and there's no escaping it, right? That got the Siddhartha Gautama off guard. He's like, yo, what the heck? That's messed up, right? Then the second sight that he saw was that of a sick person, a diseased person, right? Then he asked his charioteer, he's like, yo, what's up with that person? He's like, it's sickness and disease. It's bound to happen to every person who lives, right? And that got him even more off track. He's like, yo, I've never seen this before. This is some weird stuff that's going on right now. Then the third sight that he saw was that of a dead person, right? And then he never saw a corpse before. He asked his charioteer, he's like, yo, what's up with that? He's like, that's a death that's bound to happen to every person alive, right? So at this point, he's exposed to the suffering. He's never seen it before. If he feels something deep in his heart, he knows that something is wrong. He's like at a crossroads and he's like so confused. And then he goes back to his palace and he has these dancing girls around and he's like, yo, what? And all he can think about is these 3 sights that he's seen, right? And then finally, he comes across the sight of an ascetic, a monk, one who is after self-realization. And that's when he realized that, okay, there is a path to actually put an end to this suffering, right? There is a suffering, no doubt about that, but there is a path towards overcoming it and realizing who we really are, right? And that is what put him to the path of actually self-realization, of walking the spiritual path, and eventually he became the Buddha, right? Now, Buddha comes from Sanskrit Bud, which literally means to awaken, right? So the goal of Buddhism, the path, the 8-fold path, is not to follow and worship the Buddha, Gautama Buddha, right? It is to literally become the Buddha, right? We have to become the awakened ones, right? So the Buddha was actually the OG of the philosophy of woke, right? He was the OG woke guy, and he was basically, that is the goal of Buddhism as well, to become woke, to wake up to who we really are, right? So that is when he came up with the 4 noble truths of Buddhism, right? Now, you're probably wondering, what does this all have to do with semen retention? I'm just putting it in the keyword just to get the ranking. Part of the reason is, yes, I just put it, every time I put in the word semen retention, it gets way more views. But you're going to see how it ties in with the 8-fold path, okay? It's actually essential to this. So the 4 noble truths, right? The first noble truth is that life is dukkha, right? This is commonly translated as suffering, but it's really like frustration, it's really like annoyance, it's really like negative emotions, right? Life is characterized by this suffering, right? That's the first noble truth of Buddhism. The second noble truth of Buddhism is that the cause of suffering is Trishna, right? The cause of dukkha is Trishna, which is like a thirst for that selfish desire. And this is something common amongst all of these ancient Eastern traditions, where it's like that selfish desire is insatiable, but we live in a constantly changing world. And because of change, there's no way that our desire can get fulfilled. And because of this, the desire for selfish gain is what leads down the path of suffering. Okay? Now, the third noble truth of Buddhism is that of putting an end to the suffering, right? There is an end to the cause. Yes, we are experiencing the suffering, but if you follow the Eightfold Path, which is the fourth noble truth of Buddhism, then you can bring an end to the suffering and realize who you really are. And this is where semen retention is an essential component of it. I'm going to relate it back to each one of the Eightfold Path, okay? So the first aspect of the Eightfold Path is right understanding, right? Understanding that you are not your body, you are not your mind. Understanding that who you really are is the seat of the spirit. Who you really are is eternal, is changeless, is timeless. It's something that is beyond form, right? And right understanding really comes back to understanding that semen is the source of your creative energy. It is the source of your life force energy. And anytime that you deprive yourself of it, then you are going down the path of selfish desire. And although you might experience that pleasure in the short term, it will lead to suffering in the long term, right? So understanding that the importance of the seed of your sperm, the source of your creative energy, is really the first noble or first part of the Eightfold Path, right? Now, the second aspect of the Eightfold Path is right purpose, right? Aligning with the Dharma. The Buddha wrote the Dhammapada, which is literally translated as the path of Dharma, right? The dharmic path. And understanding that your purpose, my purpose, all of our purpose is exactly the same. And that is to realize who we really are, right? Maslow had his hierarchy of needs. At the very top, he said that once our basic needs, our psychological needs are met, then our need to self-actualize, to achieve one's potential, to express who we really are, becomes as essential as our need to breathe, right? Abraham Maslow says what one can be, one must be. And right purpose is knowing that in order for you to create who you really are, because as I've talked previously, your combination of genes, your combination of experiences, they come together in a unique combination that has never occurred in the past. It will never occur in the future, only right here, right now, based on you. And the source of your creative energy is what will lead you to express and create the life that you were here to create. But if you deprive yourself of that semen, if you deprive yourself of your creative energy, then you will basically deprive yourself of your ability to walk your authentic path and purpose in your life, okay? Now, the third aspect of the Eightfold Path is right speech, right? Making sure that what you say, what you do, and how you are is in alignment, because so many times what we say is like, oh, I'm just lazy. Oh, I'm just addicted to porn. Oh, I just am slow. Oh, I am... Like, whatever you say has a lot of power, so don't underestimate the power of your speech. If you ever say that you are describing yourself in a way that is not giving yourself the power to express who you really are, then you are literally depriving yourself of the power, okay? The subconscious mind doesn't function based on what is right or wrong. It's just based on what you focus on. And if you ever bring into awareness and bring into your speech something that disempowers you, then that's basically like it's like programming your subconscious mind to be disempowered, okay? And of course, you are more likely to do that if you're depriving yourself of the life force energy, because when you don't have the energy, to show up as your most capable self, then you will be falling to the level of making excuses for why you aren't the way or why you aren't where you want to be in life, okay? You need that life force energy. You need that force that gives you and fuels your determination, ambition, and motivation to become who you really are. But if you deprive yourself of it, then you will actually be going down a slippery slope towards talking about and coming up with excuses about why you aren't where you are, or why you aren't where you want to be, or why you aren't who you want to be, because then that just further disempowers you even more, okay? Now, the next aspect of the Eightfold Path is that of right conduct, right? Behavior. Is your behavior in alignment with your values? Because it's something I've seen in myself. You know, I'm reading all of these deep spiritual texts. I'm definitely on the path. I want to learn more. I want to know more. I want to experience more. But at the end of the day, nothing really matters. These spiritual scriptures don't matter at all, one bit, if I don't live in alignment with them, if I don't conduct my behavior in a way that aligns with these teachings, if I don't dedicate myself to that life of really creating and expressing who I really am, to let go of behaviors that no longer serve me and adopt the behaviors that do, right? Conducting your behavior in alignment with what you deem is already true for you. Like, you already know that semen is the source of your life force energy. You already know that this is something that you need to do in order to improve yourself. You already know that this is really the secret to unlock your superpower and unlock your genius. But when you don't conduct yourself in alignment with what you know, then you are further depriving yourself of your power. Okay? Now, the next aspect of the Eightfold Path is that of right occupation. Okay? Now, again, all of these words are translated from Sanskrit, and Sanskrit is such a deep spiritual language that it's really difficult to capture the essence of what these words actually mean. I've read the English translation, of course. I don't know Sanskrit. Definitely want to look at some more words and get to the essence of what they actually mean. But right occupation is basically about how you occupy your time, right? I like the word vocation, right? Spending your time in the area of your own soul's expertise, right? Understand that every activity that we go through, like some activities, they drain us of our energy, right? We have to do those things, but they are not really in alignment with what our soul came here to do. But then there are other things, like for me, making this video, I actually get more energy than I give in it, right? Even it's like generating energy. You just, from me, like making these videos, I know that this is in alignment with what I'm here to do, right? So right vocation, right occupation is really about narrowing down on what it is that you are here to do and spending your time and making the time for you to actually engage in that behavior, conducting yourself in a way that is in alignment with your dharma. Okay? Now, the next three aspects of the Eightfold Path have to do with the mind. As the Buddha says, your thoughts create your life. What you think about is what you get in your life. And the next aspect is right effort. Okay? Because going down this path of semen retention, the Buddha himself said that if there was another selfish desire, or if there was another temptation to the level of lust in this world, in this physical dimension, then it would be very difficult for him to actually achieve the state of nirvana. Okay, the Buddha said that himself. So right effort is knowing that this is not going to be an easy path, of knowing that your body, your mind, your senses are going to move you towards seeking that cheap thrill of dopamine that comes from ejaculation. But you have to put in that right effort to actually do the right thing. Okay, it's not going to be easy for sure, but you have to put in the effort to get the result that you want. Okay? Now, the next aspect of the Eightfold Path is that of right attention. Okay, this is so important because at the end of the day, the only thing that we have truly in our life is our attention. And there are so many things vying for our attention. So what is it that you're focusing on right now? Okay, because there is a lot of stuff out there. And if you are focused on what you don't want, if you're focused on consumption, if you're focused on watching TV, if you're focused on watching porn, all of those things will literally rewire your brain for you to get off the path that you were here to walk, get you off the path of dharma, and get you trapped into the cycle of karma, of samsara, whereby you keep on going and making the same mistakes again and again and again. Okay, so right attention is about focusing down on what truly empowers you, getting rid of everything else that disempowers you, right? I really like the aspect of stoicism, which is like, there's only one path to happiness, and that is to concern yourself only with the things that are within your control, your own thoughts, your own behaviors. Everything else, discount that, right? Stephen Covey has the concept of the circle of influence and the circle of concern. We have a lot to be concerned about, especially during the times we're living in right now. There's a lot to be concerned about. But if you're concerned about stuff that you cannot make an influence on, then you are wasting your mental bandwidth. You're giving your attention away and leaving less of it available for you to actually make a change and influence the things that you have control over. Okay? And of course, if you deprive yourself of your semen, you deprive yourself of your creative life force energy, then you basically are more susceptible to these distractions, to this stimulus that's coming in from outside, and you will be not focused on what it is that gives you power. Okay? Now, the final aspect of the Eightfold Path is that of right meditation. Okay, meditation means a lot of different things to a lot of different people, but it again comes down to the practice of bringing your mind to focus. Okay, for me, there's a lot of benefits that I get from meditation. I made an entire different video on this as well. I link out to it over here. But meditation is a way for me to get distance from my thoughts, to watch my thoughts go by, to get distance from my body, to feel the discomfort that my body feels, but to focus and narrow down on my breath that moment, right? To really practice my awareness and bringing the focus down to that single point. And anytime I get distracted, it's like I notice it and then I get back to the single point. That's like another rep for my mind, right? So meditation is an essential component of the Eightfold Path as well. And the more you can actually be consistent with this habit, the more you will master your mind, the more you will master your senses, the more you will master your life. And anytime you feel a temptation to feel like busting a nut, feel like watching porn, because those temptations will come up, you need to put the right effort. But with meditation, you are basically building your muscles of your mind to the point where you can make a decision based on what you know is right, rather than based on what feels easy in the moment. Okay, so just a quick look at some works from the Buddha. I'm definitely going to be making more entire playlist on the works of Buddha, because he has shared some deep eternal truths that will take a lifetime to master for sure. But I hope that you got value from this video. Leave a comment below letting me know your number one takeaway from this video so that you can reinforce it in your own mind as well. But with that being said, this has been Mo, and I'll see you in the next video.